Why is it not going live? There you go. And welcome all. How are we all? Obviously, we've got Ashley again, who's stressed and tired and fed up, but she's brilliant. How are you?
Wow, putting words in my mouth. I never said I was stressed or tired or burned out, but I have been. No, I'm good.
And me. I've been burnt out as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think we've all honestly been there. And if you haven't been, well, I'm going to call BS.
Yep. So everyone that's tuning in, going to join. Who doesn't join, okay. Subscribe, share. Yeah. Yeah, I've just got a message. But yeah. Kick us off, Ashley, with
me,
because the reason I'm going to say you kick us off is because you're the woman. So ladies first, of course. That's how much I'm a gentleman. Of being a role model to our kids, or while we're struggling ourselves.
Oh, that's an amazing question, and really a great topic, because I think as parents, we want to put on a brave face and make it seem like we have it all together, that we don't show emotion, that we are strong on the external, and then behind closed doors, we are arguing with our spouse, we're crying, we're falling apart, like we're losing our minds, right? But I think as teachers, because that's ultimately what we are for our children, is teachers, they have to see us in our most vulnerable, worst moments. So, for example, a couple years ago, I had been gone for a weekend. My husband and I got into a huge fight. I came home and literally unloaded on my children. The whole crying, yelling, what in the hell happened while I was gone? Why is it always my responsibility to make sure that you're doing X, Y, Z? A lot of you are old enough to take the initiative and the responsibility and all of I just unleashed. I walked away and I locked myself in my bathroom and I literally bawled my eyeballs out. All of a sudden, I get a knock at the door, and at that time, I think he was 12 or 13. My oldest, he came to my bathroom door, he knocked on it, and he had a cup of coffee. And I apologized, and he had said to me, he's like, "You're not a bad mom, you're a great mom," which then made me cry even more. And all of the things that I unleashed on, he was listening because of some of the things that I had said about my own identity or worthiness and everything. He was like, "We all make mistakes. We all mess up." He's like, "I love you. You're a great mom." And all of these things. So that in and of itself, no matter when we butt heads, our children are watching us.
Yeah.
And they see us in our bad times. They see us in our good times. They see us all the time. So what are you teaching them in the good moments and also in the bad moments, right?
Absolutely.
We're not perfect. You have to be gentle with yourselves when you have those bad moments. You have to ask for forgiveness of your children when you fly off the handle over something that in reality was very trivial. But they have to see you surrender to that ego, to that pride, versus just being the drill sergeant all the time, right? Yeah. So that's kind of...
Yeah. Do you actually believe what Kerry's just put? Mothers tend to have more pressure put on them.
Absolutely. 100%.
Honestly, I don't.
Okay.
I actually don't. And the reason is, like, big up to all the mums out there, because there are some dads who don't deserve to be dads out there. Vice versa with mums as well. But do mums have pressure on them? Yes. But so do dads as well.
Because, and I don't... Well, go ahead.
Because the thing is, the reason I'm saying dads have that pressure as well is because in most relationships, I'm not going off topic here because this is actually being the role model as well. Most relationships, the mother expects the dad to go out, go and work, go and provide for the family. And the thing is, when they get home, they are exhausted. Like, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm here basically 24/7. And I hardly have time for me. I don't get time for me because I'm all go, 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 go. And do I neglect the house a little bit? I can admit, Kerry, I do. And she'll be like, oh, finally, he admits it. But yeah, I do, because I'm exhausted, because the kids are there. Like, we've got 3 kids here, 2 that just can't be bothered. Like, we've got a 12-year-old that is more mature than our 13-year-old, which is a bit, okay, questionable. But then we've got our almost 2-year-old that's... So it's like, how do we develop that patience? Like I was saying before the show, that I've got that patience, but how do we create that without losing our minds?
Okay, so here's why I can agree with Carrie, but I also agree with you.
Yes.
So this is a twofold situation, because everything you just said, Carrie feels that, and every mom feels that and more, right? Because you're in the position of a stay-at-home dad. I'm in the position of a stay-at-home mom, but I am a working stay-at-home mom because obviously we're operating a construction company. I have my coaching business and the kids and homeschool and all of the other things that come with being here at home, right? So the thing is yes, while dads have an expectation sometimes, if they're not a stay-at-home dad, they do have an expectation, yes, to work outside of the home, provide for their families, and then come home and be a dad, etc., etc. What Carrie is talking about as far as the pressure is, it's not just a personal, like, I need to tend to the kids, the house, the husband, this, that, and the other thing, right? It's also the societal pressure of mom against mom. Well, I do this over here, and why don't you do that for your kids? And then we continue to put this other external pressure on us, one that we don't need to, but we do it anyway because we connect everything to an emotion. So husbands are great at single thinking. Most men are single thinkers. You can't have one line touch another line and all the things like multitasking. It's not in a man's nature to typically multitask. I'm not saying you can't do it. Men can, but it's not the usual quote unquote standard. Yeah. So if a man comes home from working, he just needs to decompress for 15 minutes. But the thing is there's also that external pressure, right? Because the kids are like, daddy, 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 and they're excited to see dad. Moms have the constant bombardment of, I need this, do the laundry, get me this meal. And like, we have that constant, and Adam, like you said, you're at home, so you've got this constant need for your attention, right? So for moms, we also have that, but we have a harder time to literally disconnect from it, because again, our brains are like a pile of freaking spaghetti. So we could be with you and we're thinking about, okay, I got to grocery shop and I need this and I need this and this is on my list, and oh wait, I've got to do this. And like, we have our brains going a mile a freaking minute constantly. It's very hard for us to just turn that off and go into a space of nothingness. So that's the pressure that she's talking about, on top of the societal pressure of what social media and the world makes motherhood look like. Oh, you've got all your shit together. Ugh, but what's really behind the closed door? It's a mess, right? So it's putting on this mask of everything's great, it's fine, everything's fine. But in reality, you're freaking in the bathroom crying because you're falling apart, you're emotionally exhausted, you have nothing left to give, you haven't been intimate with your spouse in who knows how long, because there's just so many demands.
I was doing that last night.
You're falling apart, right?
Yes.
Because you've lost yourself in the identity of parenthood.
Anyway, welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Adam.
Yeah, I should have warned you. Ashley can rant.
I can, but it's the reality. And you asked the question, and then he came in.
What did I tell you last week, Ashley? What did I say to you last week? You were going to go on a rant to this week.
I'll try not to. Okay, I'll be quiet.
It's okay. It's okay. You know, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. You're the guest here.
Yes.
You're the guest.
Tell us about yourself.
Terry, please deal with the twins upstairs. So anyway, welcome, Robert from Canada. Richard, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do to help people.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm Richard Ramos, and I'm the founder of what I call Parents on a Mission. And essentially, it's a leadership program for parents. And I developed that many years ago, and it got to the point where it grew so much that I realized if I wanted to help more parents, I needed to reproduce myself or reproduce other teachers. So what I do is I have a train the trainer program where I certify other community leaders, and then they take my curriculum and they teach it to the parents, whether that could be in a prison, it could be in a jail, it could be in a school district, it could be in nonprofit organizations or churches, just wherever people are working already with parents. So I call them parent mentors because that's essentially what it is. Meeting once a week for a couple of hours for several weeks, coaching, mentoring, sharing, talking, and dealing with some of the stuff that, I'm sorry, is it Ashley? Yeah, dealing with you know, those kinds of issues, because all of that is true. So hopefully we're able to mitigate some of that stuff. But essentially, that's what I do. Been doing it for a long time, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, most welcome. I'm glad you're here. I really do. Obviously, sorry about that, guys. I've got reading Kerry's comment. And then we've got Nick Ronald messaging. So seriously, Ashley, when are people going to read emails?
That's a great question.
It is a good question. It is a good question.
Who knows?
But anyway, so yeah, Nick Ronald's going to come and join us now anyway, so that's good. And hope Richard Kaufman's okay in the thunderstorm where he is. Hope he stays safe, and he'll be back probably in a couple of weeks. But anyway, so Ashley's put views across when it comes to being that role model when we're to our kids when we're struggling. Talk to us about the male perspective on it, of it, because we can self-destruct also, but do our spouses notice that?
Are you asking me? Oh,
I'm ignoring Ashley a little bit now, and I'm joking.
Well, of course, we're all prone to having our days, our bad days, and things like that. But one of the things that we emphasize in Parents on a Mission is the importance of emotional maturity and growing consistently in our emotional intelligence, emotional maturity. I like to call it personal growth. But that is the thing that we try to encourage parents to practice on a consistent basis because of all the things that Ashley was mentioning from a mother who's staying at home, or maybe she's working, which is even more pressure. So what are you going to do? Well, we are parents and we have responsibility. And the first responsibility that we have is to ourselves, and to take care of ourselves and to make sure that we are working consistently on ourselves. Nobody's perfect. No parent gets it right all the time. I know I don't. Personal growth is a lifelong journey. And if we can get parents to understand that, rather than just always reacting to things, and better to respond to things, where that's what emotional maturity is about, being self-aware so that you can self-manage. And as you self-manage, then you can have social awareness, which in this case would be what Ashley was talking about. When I'm coming home, I want to be socially aware of what's going on in my home when I walk in the door.
Yeah.
And rather than wanting my wife and or children to be in tune with me, social awareness means that I'm in tune with them. If we're talking about a teacher or some aspect of social in society, it's being in tune with your audience. But what I'm talking about is in the kids, as that's what we're talking about. And walking in that door, taking that, maybe what I used to do, I would just sit in my car for a couple minutes, catch my breath and think about, okay, what's it going to be like when I go in the house? At the time, 5 small children. And I was just wanting to be in tune with whatever my wife and kids or whatever was going on. So, I don't know that it's a male female thing. I can't speak to that, the female thing. But to me, the principle is whether you're a dad or a mom or a step parent or a stepmother, emotional maturity is the key to allowing ourselves to have the balance and the maturity to deal with whatever the situation is. And as I said, nobody gets it right all the time. We all have our days. We lose our temper. We say things we shouldn't say. We do things we shouldn't do. But for the most part, we're doing good. And here's the key, and I'll end with this. The key is when I do the wrong thing and say the wrong thing, I admit it. I own it. I don't make excuses. And I look my children in the eye or child and apologize and ask for forgiveness. That is the key, because if you're doing that, because they screw up too, but you're modeling for them what they need to do when they've been disrespectful towards us, etc. So all of that goes back to the practice of emotional maturity.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Nick, welcome.
Hi, yes. Welcome.
You need to start reading messages and emails, buddy. You really do.
4th of July. Was there an email back tonight? I didn't see it.
Yeah, there's a show right now and there's a show tomorrow.
I know there's a show tomorrow. I didn't realize it's every Thursday now.
No, not every Thursday.
Okay.
No. Anyway, right. Right, let's just dive in, right? Because obviously, Nick, you're a teacher as well, and you've got a son as well. So obviously, you deal with multiple kids a day daily. So what is the difference, like when you're struggling with whether it's anxiety, depression, some sort of trauma? What sort of mindset do you have in dealing with Noah compared to dealing with kids within a school when you're struggling?
I think it is really hard. I mean, I mean, certainly at school you got to be professional. Where with my son, I have to be professional. But both with school and my son, you've got to obviously I got try do have to obviously try and separate to an extent hide any of my own anxieties or stresses and it is hard at times, obviously when I have Noah and I've got stuff going on in my mind, and if I'm really stressed and, not to let that come out when I'm with him, because it's not fair, obviously, to put my own stresses and things, come out, because obviously he will feel those, he'll see those, and it's not fair on him. But it is hard. It is hard to, it is hard, isn't it, to hide it from anyone, I think, whether it's a friend or partner, but obviously particularly hard, we've got to be particularly careful doing it for children, because children are more harder.
They're more aware, aren't they?
They're more aware. I think they are, and they're more sensitive to it. So if I'm stressed, I think Noah will pick up on it, even if I think I'm not showing an obvious way, I'm not talking about it or saying I'm stressed. He will pick it up, and it's not fair on him, but he will soak it up and pick it up, and he's very sensitive to it. He can pick up if I'm stressed or anxious. So it's having it's something I have to almost consciously do. So if I know I'm stressed and got stuff going on, then I've got Noah staying with me, I know I've got it right. I have to make sure that I don't let my issues in my life, my challenges, then become his challenges in that sense. So
which I think we should talk about that when it comes to masking our emotions, to basically just getting on with things to try and keep the kids happy as well. When we're masking our emotions, are we doing what's best for us? Or are we doing what's best for the kids? Or are we doing more damage to each other? That's to anyone. Ashley wants to talk.
Go ahead, Ashley. It's your turn.
Oh, geez. Yeah, but he said that he was ignoring me for a while because I go on rants.
I love your rants.
Well, in true honesty, coming from a childhood background where it was always a reactive state, right? But it was a reactive state of heightened anger type emotion and a lot of grudge holding and all of that stuff. There was no true sadness emotion, I guess you could say, or that empathetic kind of emotion, unless it was with my mom, right. Again, that female kind of thing. But as far as even with my dad, it wasn't something that was expressed regularly. So then when I became a mom, it was more so, my mom has put it this way to me, I can be a stuffer and I can also be a reactive person. So I have both of my parents' personalities of dealing with emotion. So I've had to learn how to sometimes sit with my sadness, and I'm not great at this, or express it, or let my husband know, hey, I'm hurting right now. I need a hug, or being able to just let it flow versus stuffing it down. I think it does a disservice to our children when we mask and we don't express emotion. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay for you to just wail off and say, punch somebody. That's a terrible way to handle your anger, right? but they can see that anger is an okay emotion to have. It's how you express that anger, right? And even sadness. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have those types of emotions and crying and whatever. And I love that my husband has gotten better at like expressing some of that sadness emotion. Like we could be watching, say, a certain movie or a show, and it tugs at his heartstrings differently now that, say, we have a son in the military. So if it's like a shooting and killing and all of a sudden like it takes a turn into that storyline where he can envision, well, what if that was me burying my son type of a deal? So it's allowed him to begin to express that sort of emotion. And he's gotten better at showing like, okay, I'm angry right now, or I'm disappointed in your behavior right now, versus I'm just going to remain quiet and I'm going to let my wife take it. And, you know, like that type of a situation. So again, I think it does our children a disservice when we mask that and we don't show them emotion or the proper ways to handle it. And like Richard said, we're not going to get it right every freaking time. There's going to be moments where we fail and we're like, oh, I should have handled that differently, right?
I won't say fail.
Well, whatever.
Come on, Ash.
At the end of the day, like he said, when we can surrender and we can say, I'm sorry, can you forgive me? I handled that wrong, and we own it. That allows them to see that. And I firmly believe that as well. And, you know, it's a process. Parenting, there's not a clear cut, dry, this works all the time situation. If there was, good heavens, I'd have smooth parenting.
Guys, help us a little bit with this situation then, because I've admitted to Kerry numerous times that I've been in the wrong. And I have. But when I apologize to her, she doesn't accept it. Because her reason is, sorry is an overused word.
Well, that's a different situation. But I let me address the first. I agree with Ashley. I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing to our kids, you know, maybe I'm sad or in a bad mood or whatever, depending on the situation. Now that we can, I don't suggest parents, you know, dump on their kids so that now the kid is parenting them. I don't think that's good. And also in a situation, if I come in and I know that my kids are dealing with a tough situation, maybe they're bummed or sad, then I'm going to hold back. What we should be able to do as a mature adult, say, hey, I can see my kids at need. I have a need, but I can see they're having a need, or maybe it's my wife. I'm going to meet their need and just deal with myself. But in a situation where, you know, I just can say to my son or daughter, you know what, Dad, I'm just bummed out right now, or I'm too upset to deal with what's going on. You know, I'll talk to you about it later, something like that. As far as the issue of forgiveness, that's a whole nother subject, Adam.
It is. Yeah, it's just one of them. I'm ignoring the last comment. It's okay, but I love her really. I really do.
I think definitely. You know, being open about, you know, certainly with kids, and you know, encouraging honesty about your feeling, being able to talk about your feelings is important. And certainly my son, you know, like, you know, he knows that I had certain areas I have challenges with his work. He, you know, is aware of that. I mean, I just obviously try to. He's quite young, so I try to not offload, and to an extent. Aware, you know, sensitive to his age, but yeah, definitely he's aware of what my challenges are in life, and I think definitely I think it's important that they, you know, as a child he knows that that it's good to talk, and he, you know, if there's any you know, thing he needs to talk about, then he can always do that. But there's no definition of what what is okay to talk about, or what's acceptable, what the criteria is. There is no criteria. If there's anything he needs to talk about, wants to talk about on his mind, then he can. And I think that's something. I think having that sort of honesty and openness is quite.
Yeah, the other thing too is the age. Age appropriate.
Yeah.
Talking to a 15-year-old is not the same as a 7 or 8-year-old. So that has a lot to do with it as well.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and it's getting them to understand emotions as well. Now, our 13-year-old is slowly starting to recognize emotions. And is he stubborn? Yes, he is. He's probably got that from both parents, but it's one of them. But he knows if he ever needs to talk, we're here. He does.
So does your son Adam? Does he talk about his emotions or his sort of do you ever?
Not really. He tends to bottle them.
Sure.
Yeah, which I'm trying to help him to overcome that, because I don't want him to do the same mistake I did and bottle my emotions and feelings, which I did, and that did me a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yes.
That the ability to listen is.
Yes.
Sometimes we want to fix things, and the kids aren't looking for it to get fixed. They just want to be heard. And to be able to just listen without giving advice or counsel, asking questions, sincere questions that you're just curious, why, for example, can you help me understand why you are so infatuated with your screen? I notice you're looking at it all the time, and I'm just wondering, can you help me understand, what's that about? That's a open-ended question. You're not judging, you're not being harsh, because the issue is it is a problem. You're addressing the problem, but in a way to showing curiosity of, what is it about? And then as whatever they say, we're just listening, and without any kind of judgment or feedback, or really a lot of times they just need somebody to listen to them without judging them. And if we can learn how to do that goes a long way as well in modeling and helping them to start to talk about what's going on, that they can trust dad. If I talk to my dad, he'll listen. He's not going to get on my case or start to fix things and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think if people think there's judgment, then people are very reluctant to open up if they think that whatever they say might be maybe some judgment with it. So, like you say, Richard, I think if people think they can, particularly your kids, can say whatever they say, there'll be no judgment. Then they're more likely to open up. And I think it's trying to have that thing, that sort of understanding that like you say, we'll listen to you, whatever you want to say, won't be any judgment. Because I think especially teenagers, I think more than anything, it's that challenging time, because it's challenging being a teenager, and if they think then that they do share something, there's going to be some judgment in some way about what they talk about. They'll clam up, they won't share. And
it's hard. It's what's hard about it is if they start saying stuff that is negative things, or putting themselves down, or just things that are not what we would say maybe morally not good. And it's hard sometimes not to comment. I know I've done that. I end up saying something when I probably shouldn't have. It's hard when your kids are saying things that just kind of irk you. It's really not easy to listen to those kinds of comments about themselves or other people.
It's interesting you said about I think active listening. I think we're terrible at active listening. We all listen, but actually properly, genuinely, 100% actively listening without. It's automatic. I think we want to jump in when we listen to someone talking, especially if they're sharing something, they've got a challenging problem. We want to jump in and give advice or give our thoughts, but just to listen, hold back, and give our 100% attention. It's a hard skill. Many of us don't have it. We don't have that really. Genuine, 100% active listening to the other person without judgment. I think it's a skill most of us don't really have.
Well,
and
it's hard for me with a wife that's got multiple personalities.
Sure. How do you fight? Yeah, that must be.
Yeah, BPD. It's tough. It's tough. Tough to live with, but you get on with it. You get on with it. So yeah. Another one is guilt shaming. Like, do we feel guilty? Like, if we want to just leave the room, whether it's to go and cry, whether it's to scream into a pillow or whatever, and our kids are out in the other room, they're screaming, they want our attention, but we're like, just give me a moment. Do we feel guilty about that?
I don't because, again, I would rather respond than react. I've reacted too many times, and it doesn't help. I don't feel guilty about saying, you know what, I just don't want to deal with it right now. I'm already upset, and I don't want to say something I'm gonna regret, or do something I'm gonna regret. So no, I don't feel guilty about doing that. I think it's healthy to take a step back if you're not in a mood or in a place emotionally to respond in a mature way.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because now I'm going to talk years ago now, so I'm thinking my age. Because when our oldest he wasn't even 2, and obviously we had the safety gate up at our bedroom door, and me and Kerry, we had to just leave because we were crying. We was overwhelmed, so we both literally just cried. And he was there shaking the gate in anger, crying, and we were crying as well. And we was at it for about 10 minutes, just crying and screaming into pillows and stuff like that. Come back, and our oldest is literally fast asleep at the safety gate, and that affects us. Like, it even affects me now. Why?
Are you
Why
asking,
does it affect you now, or why did it happen?
Yeah.
Sorry,
like, what are you wondering the why of? Like, why was
I don't know. Like, Kerry, are you still here? I don't know if Kerry's still here. I ain't got a clue. But yeah, I understand why we needed to walk away because we felt overwhelmed and all that. But to come back and he cried himself to sleep, that has a big impact on us, and we feel like we've abandoned him a little bit. If that makes sense.
What was the age again?
He wasn't even 2.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was there shaking the gate in anger and everything like that.
Yeah, and you're saying that you felt
you
should have done something other than nothing. Is that what you're saying? You
didn't. I feel like I shouldn't have spent 10 minutes just calming down, even though it is normal to spend around about that time. I should have reduced it a little bit so I can be there. So I've not exactly always been a great dad. I can admit that.
Yeah. I mean, so are you, kind of a personal question, but do you feel that you and your wife are affectionate parents?
In what way?
Physically, hugging, kissing, picking up,
not always. Not always.
Well, yeah. I mean, a 2-year-old, usually they need a lot of that. But again, it's hard to know I don't know the dynamics. I don't know what else was going on. It's really hard to give definitive, input if, every situation, and there may have been other things happening. It's hard to really, but I'm just speaking in general for to 2 years old. Part of our role there is being affectionate and, physically affectionate, with the hugging and the picking up and the different things like that. Doesn't mean that would have helped. I don't know that would have solved his crying. Maybe, I don't. Again, I don't know. But
No, I've not always been a good role model. Like I could admit right now, when Kerry was pregnant with our eldest, I abandoned her because I've chose alcohol over her.
Okay.
I suppose I guess it's good to to have an awareness that perhaps looking back, you weren't.
I weren't that character.
Yeah, that's knowing, understanding that, and be aware of that. I think that's a good thing. But there's nothing to be gained by looking back and and saying, beating yourself up in that sense. Metaphorically by saying, well, 10 years ago, I should have done that. I should have. We all could do that. Look back and say, I should have acted better in that situation. I should have done that. I mean, I could look back in so many situations in my life where I should have made better decisions. I should have behaved better. And generally, I think, Adam, that's beating yourself up for not having been better in a situation when your son was 2 but you can't change that. You can only change what you do from now. So I think
it's what I do now. Yeah.
I think that's
so I'm going to interject here.
No,
it's not bad. So look at the situation as, okay, I took a step away for 10 minutes because I was overwhelmed. Yes, my child cried. Yes, he was shaking the gate because he wanted to be near me, but I needed space. He was safe. He wasn't going to go anywhere. 10 minutes of crying. Some parents do the cry it out method where they allow their kids every single night to scream themselves.
Hours sometimes, isn't it?
No,
okay.
As a cry
take
method.
this as I stepped back because if I didn't, how would I have reacted in that moment, listening to him scream, cry, whatever it was? What steps would I have taken in my overwhelm? Could I have physically hurt him? Could I have physically hurt Carrie or thrown something or whatever the case may be? So my wife and I, rather than doing that, we put him where he was safe, right? We stepped away. We gathered ourselves together, even if it's just letting the emotion out, crying, screaming into a pillow, whatever it is. That's a safe outlet. He didn't get hurt. Okay, he cried himself to sleep. That's not going to damage your child for the one-time occurrence or the couple times that it happens, right? So that for you is okay, I can release this. He was safe. I did what I needed to do in that moment. He was protected and I released what I needed to release. Everybody's good to go. Now we move on, right? So that's something.
Welcome back, Kerry.
Is really flipping the script in your own brain. And and this is something that I coach moms through regularly. I mean, Adam, you and I have had plenty of conversation on stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm always telling moms, you need to take care of you. If that means you schedule and give your husband or whoever is watching your children plenty of advance notice, hey, on this date, I am going away to a local hotel for a night, just me. If you want to extend it, extend it. But most moms are like, well, I never miss bedtime and I'm always there and I've never been away from my kids and blah, 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 blah. You are running a very fine line of burnout and exhaustion. Period. End of story. Because your kids don't know what it's like to be away from you. You don't know what it's like to be away from your children, where you get to refresh and reset and get a good night's sleep that isn't interrupted, because most times you're running on caffeine and sleep deprivation.
I'm not caffeine.
Well, you're the exception to the rule. But you're also not a woman. But you're running on sleep deprivation and extreme sensory overload from your children. Like when I started regularly getting away from my kids, and not to get away from my husband, but having that separation time, it allows the other person to be into the role that you are always playing. So then it fosters this appreciation of, man, she really does do a lot, or man, he really does do a lot, right? So it fosters this appreciation between spouses, and it also fosters an appreciation, or can, maybe, depending on your children, but an appreciation with your kids as well. Or it, for you, for the love that you have for your children, right? You love your kids, but you love them better and you love them fuller, if you will, when you are full. Because if you're trying to continue pouring from an empty cup, good luck, eventually the well runs dry, right? So you have to be able to recharge. And now I can go away for 5 days and my kids are just like, yeah, this is what we're doing with dad. And we're doing, like, it's not this cry fest on the phone. When are you coming home? And then I'm crying because it's like, okay, now I feel like shit because I've left. You know, it's yep, I'll be home on Tuesday. Okay, are we going to get to pick you up from the airport kind of a thing, right? They're excited to see you. Versus when you are it and on all the time, they lose that appreciation for you. Trust me, I know, because every time my kids will pray before we eat dinner, it's always daddy's home. There's never a mention of me. And I'm thinking, you little ungrateful schmuck. I just cooked you dinner. I helped you with dishes. I did your laundry. I did this, and this.
Here comes the run.
But dad's home. It's like, wow, I get the short end of the damn stick, right? So it's okay for you to leave your kids for extended periods of time, my friends, especially.
Carrie, you're listening.
Yes. Carrie says she runs on caffeine.
See, and that's another thing I want to bring up now. I think either she's going to be lecturing me or you're going to be lecturing me, Ashley. Why are we running on caffeine? Why? Because the end of the day, that caffeine fix is going to run out. And then what you're going to do? You're going to burn out. So find an alternative. Go for a walk. Watch a film or whatever.
Honestly, like, okay, so here's the thing.
Here we go.
Well, caffeine can obviously have the opposite effect on somebody that, say, has ADHD, for example.
Yeah.
It calms them down. Other people, caffeine is that stimulant, right? So it's not that I have to have my coffee in the morning. I've quit coffee cold turkey for 2 weeks. I didn't have migraines. I didn't have those side effects. Some people obviously will have a side effect if they don't have caffeine. It might help with migraines. Like, there's so many benefits to it. And yes, there are negative things to it as well. Like, if you're drinking like energy drinks in high consumption and all in one sitting, right? Yes, that's damaging to the heart. But there are good benefits to, say, having coffee or, like, it really depends on where you're reading studies too. But I don't have to have coffee, but it is something that I enjoy to sit at my desk, have a hot cup of coffee if I want to journal or read a book or whatever. I could have hot chocolate. I don't like tea, so tea is not my cup of choice, right? But I'm also not going to sit and make hot chocolate homemade because I don't want to have it out of a can. So, I mean, it's one of those pick your poison. It could be soda, but I don't really drink a lot of soda.
Well, speaking of that, Kerry's just put, like, I think she just contradicted herself there a little bit. Red Bull calms her BP down. Straight away, I think that's an excuse. Straight away.
What? You think it's an excuse then it's not true, or excuses in?
I think it is an excuse because it's become like she won't say it is, but I think she relies on it. And if she doesn't have that Red Bull or coffee, she'll have withdrawal symptoms. So technically, it's becoming an addiction, an addictive drug. And now she's saying 1 or 2 coffees a day and don't drink Red Bulls every day. So she's gone back on what she's actually just said. Am I right, actually, or not?
I mean, the thing that you have to remember, Adam, is you are not her. So what may help her? No, she's not you. So what may help her, you might see as an addiction, but she sees as a medication, right? I mean, yes, in the end, you've got to walk the fine line of, is this, there could be worse things that she's self-medicating.
Agreed, yeah.
Right? So you have to look at it in that kind of way. Like, my husband will drink energy drinks occasionally now. He doesn't drink them as much as he used to, but it doesn't matter what he drinks beyond water, it upsets his stomach. So it doesn't matter if it's an energy drink, if it's a sparkling water, if it's a tea, it doesn't make a difference. He has an upset stomach, but it doesn't stop him from drinking it, right? So you have to figure out, or each of us has to figure out what works for us, right? Yeah. And again, I don't get energized off of coffee. I could drink coffee at 9 p.m. and still probably go to sleep, right? But there are times where, yes, it may give me extra energy, where if everybody goes to sleep in my house and I'm like, okay, I'm going to decide to clean bathrooms right now just because I'm awake and I know I need to get things done. But it's not something that, oh my God, I need my coffee. Like, no, it's not that. It's more of, I just want to have a cup of coffee. I don't like the taste of it because I add creamer and I add stevia, but I won't just drink a black cup of coffee. So, again, there are other things that she could be meditating with.
This is fun.
I know.
Love it. You like coffee. You're pro coffee.
So what strategies?
About the cup, right? Leader of tiny humans.
No comment. So, Richard, what strategies can you feed back to those that could be struggling right now?
Well, look, man. I'm a believer of this. We have everything we need within us, and I drink coffee every day. I don't, like Ashley says, I don't need it. I can go without it. Here, it doesn't matter. But my wife and I have coffee every morning, but I don't depend on it. And it's the same thing with people who are depending on something outside themselves, not understanding and realizing you have it within yourself to get yourself to the place that you can be mentally healthy, physically healthy, spiritually healthy. It's all within us. However, that's a lifestyle that takes discipline, and a lot of people don't want that. They'd rather take a pill or drink coffee or drink whatever juice or whatever it is.
Yep.
I don't know, but I try to help people understand, listen, and only not asking anybody to do what I don't do, but there's another aspect of human beings. We have a spiritual aspect to us. We have a physiological aspect to us. We have all of that, and learning how to, it's kind of like having a car or a computer, whatever, and finally trying to understand what makes it work best. It's just easier to say, I don't care what makes it work best. Just give me the key, turn it on, and as long as it drives, I don't care. That's all that matters. It gets me from point A to point B. But we all know what happens to cars if you don't take care of them. And the analogy of human beings, if all we're doing is putting from without in and not taking care of from within out, then, I guess you got to pick your poison. But my answer to your, Adam, is I hope people will understand, as human beings, we have a lot of resource within ourselves that does not need to be dependent on some outward stimulus of one kind or another.
Exactly. We've all got them tools within ourselves.
Yeah.
So we don't need
But I still
to
drink coffee, though. I still drink coffee.
I don't.
I drink coffee.
I've done
drink
over
coffee
4
as well,
years
so
without it.
I think I'll throw in I like coffee, but I guess it's like all these things, there is a level where something becomes an unhealthy amount. Anything, take the extreme isn't good for you, even the healthiest things, So I guess it's there is a tipping point, where something is, coffee, it's good. Research shows it's good for you a certain amount of good quality coffee, but obviously taking excess, it's not it's not gonna be good for you. I guess it's having an awareness of when you take as you live, we have an awareness of where are what we're having something we're doing to the level where we're enjoying it, we're getting a benefit from it, or is it creeping up with it, we're having it too much. And coffee, like anything, it's good for you. I love it. I have some in the morning, but definitely
you're not dependent on it. You're not dependent on it.
Yeah, exactly. Are you having it all day, every day, and is it getting more and more? And
yeah, that's we don't want to become dependent on some outside thing.
Water's okay for me. Water's
the best.
That's the best.
Flavored water, by the way. Flavored water.
That's all right,
like an iced tea or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's very healthy. You can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So any final words before we wrap up? Nick.
Well, I suppose going back to being a role model to our kids, I think I was thinking with my son's 9, and I think that the biggest thing for me is like I say, he's quite young, so I try and manage what he's exposed to in my own stresses, anxieties, but he knows my challenges in my life. But I go through. But I think for me, the biggest gift I can give to him is it goes about being a role model, is to try and inspire him, and to give him as much confidence and self-belief as I can. And and part of that is by being a role model. And I'm not in any way the perfect role model, but whenever I spend time with him, I try and inspire him, and bulk up his confidence, and some things through some of the things I do, and it's never saying that I'm the perfect role model, but I think this is the biggest gift we can give to our children, or to the in the school working with children, is to inspire them, is to give them that confidence, and self-belief, because that's the best.
They're the future,
isn't it? If you can have self-belief and confidence at a young age, then that's the best thing you can have to start with, isn't it? As a social skill, isn't it? So that's right. It's my fault.
Yes. Go on, Ashley.
Final thoughts.
Yes, no lecture.
Stop it. Honestly, ditch the guilt. Have some compassion for yourself, and be able to put your ego and your pride in check, especially when it comes to showing emotion, asking for forgiveness of your children when you do mess up, but having grace for yourself too. Like, that again boils into that compassion, because again, nobody's perfect. We're all going to get it wrong multiple times over, but it's what you do when you do get it wrong that makes the difference. Like, how do you self-correct and recourse, if you will?
Yeah.
Richard, your final thoughts, and where can people find you?
Okay. Thank you for having me, Adam. I really appreciate it. Nice to meet you, Ashley and Nick. I think one key about parenting, and just in general anyway, is just, and I think what people are wanting, especially children, is authenticity. I think being authentic is so important with our kids. I just try to show that in 3 ways. Number one is that we show our children that they are the priority of our life. And that just means everybody has choices to make. So it's never, I didn't have time. No, you have time. Everybody has time. It's what you choose to do with your time. And the priority of our choices, as much as possible, because it can't always be, because we're busy and we got to work and go here and there, but as much as possible, show our kids You are my priority, and we show that by the choices that we make with our time. Secondly, is just having integrity. You don't have to be perfect, but we do have to be honest. Our kids can accept the fact that we are not always right. We blow it, blah, blah, blah. But as long as we are honest and be able to own it, look them in the eyes, I already said, and apologize. And the third thing is crisis. When it might not be like seem like a crisis to us, but if it's a crisis to them, we show up. I didn't always have the right words. I didn't always know what to do, but I did show up. Of course, all my kids are adults now, and it's a wonderful relationship just doing those three things. People can find more information at Richard R, middle initial, RichardRRamos.com. My books are there, resources are there, and also my podcast, theparentwhisperer.com, parentwhisperer.com. And I just started that. There's only 9 episodes on there, but I just started that as another way to reach more parents. So thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will end it. And information for people. We know Nick's going to be back tomorrow, as well as me, as we're going to discuss a trigger warning where the pros and cons of what society believes. That's what we're going to discuss. And then we're going to be back in 2 weeks. Well, we're going to have a week off, so 2 weeks, yeah. So it's going to be 9:00 p.m. UK, Ashley. So she's going to lecture me off camera. I know she is. But please subscribe, everyone. YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels are going to be uploaded during the weekend. That's how fast we do these, Richard. We really do. So, well, I do them personally. Whether they get shared, I don't know. So yeah, see, Ashley's just gonna take the piss out of me as usual. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Hope you can come back at some point, and we keep kicking ass. So
great, nice to meet you, Richard.
Yeah, later.
Likewise. See you.